have 8 people fighting in a space that barely holds 8 people as actors, let alone fighting. And so we always sat down, we looked at it, and when we were rehearsing this huge warehouse space. We're like, okay. So we did all these different little fights that happened, and then we're like, and then we put them all together. And both Peter and I were just like, eh.
We have some amazing fight choreography in this show. We have a sword fight that happens towards the end of the show. Dracula comes on, there's a big confrontation, and it erupts into a sword fight. It's an amazing thing to see 8 actors out there on stage. It's a black box stage, and here they are fighting with swords and doing all this really complex and very acrobatic choreography.
It's basic Italian fencing, because that's what most stage combat is based off of completely. But we have an interesting thing, because Dracula is this mythological beast with superhuman strength. He's using a broadsword, while the rest of us are using rapiers. So combining the two gives it sort of a mystical element, because normally we wouldn't have those two types of swords fighting each other because they're completely different styles. But because Dracula doesn't follow the same rules as everybody else, we can do that. And we give him all these things that normally in a fight I would never choreograph because they're just ridiculous. But if you have a superhuman beast doing the fighting, you can do those things and it totally plays. So I'm really excited to see it.
When we first choreographed it, we choreographed the fight scene in a warehouse or a rehearsal space. There was a lot more room for the fight scene, and then we get into the theater, and suddenly all of us are kind of looking at the space going, well, okay, how's this going to happen? There's 8 people, and we've got less space than we had in that space that we choreographed this. So I looked at everybody and I said, okay, you know what, we're just going to do it. We're going to make it work. We're not going to cut anything. We're going to plan this out so that one thing ends, the next thing happens, and it was all about time.
The way that Peter and I have approached it, they actually are very, very comfortable. A couple of us have done a bit before, and for a couple of them it's the first time they've ever done anything like this. But with the way we approach it, and we've done a couple rehearsals that are just doing fights, they get more and more comfortable, and they're starting to look more and more comfortable, and there's a little bit of refinement that goes on every time. So it feels like everybody's really on board and everybody's working.
Tyler Ward, who is the fight choreographer, has done an amazing job. Him and I both got together, and I kind of assisted him in coming up with the fight choreography for this. Between the two of us, we were able to come up with a style and a look that we both wanted, that was safe and also accurate to a fighting style that they would be doing at that point in time.
It's feeling great already. So all we have to do is just, because when you do a stage fight, you do it slow, 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 and finally, after you get it all in muscle memory at one speed, then you bump it up another speed, and then you get it in that muscle memory, then you bump it up. So it's just a process of getting it quicker and quicker, but at the speed it's going now, all the intentions are great, all the spacing is great, and it's flowing beautifully well.